out here fresh in this beautiful morning. Just leaving the hotel, getting ready to go over to the college and meet with the Second Chance director. Hopefully give us a little tour of the campus and also talk about how Santa Barbara Second Chance program is hooked up with the California State Prisons, and hopefully we can get a chance to talk to a couple of the Second Chance students. But we just wanted to let you know that we had a nice time here last night. We went out, had some food at Denny's, looked around a little bit, toured the neighborhood. So we're up early this morning on another journey.
Ready to roll.
Going to the school, then we're going to meet with Oxnard, and then we want on.
That's a wrap. Go.
He looked like some Second Chance, but
that was on tape.
We're standing here on UC Santa Barbara campus. We're going to meet with the reentry project, Steve Forergi. I'm not sure if that's how you say his name or not, but I just noticed him coming on campus on even last night, the peace that's in the air out here, it's like a different nature when you come from a community that's full of, sirens at night, whether it's
under
fire
siege,
engines, police sirens. I mean, it's nice to get away sometimes and really realize what peace is. When you don't really have a lot of peace in your neighborhood, you can see that this is a peace out here. This is just, fresh air, and, you're living in a whole different lifestyle, seems like, out here than, some of the lifestyles that we live in urban cities. You come outside the urban areas and you really look at the different places, then you can get a feel for life, and it's not just about your community. If you get outside your community, you can see different things, so if you're not able to, we're able to for you.
Bring it to you, huh?
Project. It's not the college reentry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It's a community reentry. So it's Santa Barbara County reentry.
Oh, okay.
We partner with colleges, city colleges, stuff like that. So our focus is to help men and women who are paroled from the Department of Corrections locate services in their community.
Right.
So what happens is that we get information, on that.
Oh, okay.
So everybody who's paroled 3 to 9 months before they get out, we're aware of that, and then we try to make contact with them while they're incarcerated and tell them about this new project we have. And then we are charged to find services if they're accepted in our project, hopefully before they can get out. So we
Already have something in place.
We call that the pre-release model.
Right.
And then we have a post-release model, so if we didn't catch you when you were incarcerated, you can walk in through our doors and we're going to help you find services. And then we monitor their progress for a year. Mm-hmm. But we contract with, as I mentioned earlier, we're a therapeutic rich community, but we contract with agencies that already exist, community-based organizations. And it's a win-win, because we're not competing against these other agencies that have been in existence for a long time and provide good services.
Right.
We're actually bringing money to the community through our grants.
Right.
So if we receive grant from the state or from anyone, we're actually taking that funding. We are actually, being able to staff our reentry project, and then we give that money to these agencies to provide those services, whether they be drug and alcohol, housing, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So you guys are like the hub, and
Correct.
you issue
That's a good way to look at it. It's how, when we did our flow chart, that's exactly what we called it. We called it the hub.
Right.
So then we're able to really pull people together and make sure everybody's talking to one another. Employer, we're seeing how they're doing in their work. We're seeing how they're doing in their drug and alcohol treatment. If they're at City College, we're seeing how that works out.
Right.
If in their reentry plan, family unification they're allowed. There's no restraining orders or anything like that.
Right.
They have still, a potential to reunite with their kids. We move towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Big thing is that we always tell them it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
When they get out, they want to do so many things, and then
Right.
it's for us to kind of boil that down and say, hey, these are the necessities. let's get housing, let's get drug and alcohol treatment, let's get a job.
Right.
And remember, it's a job, then it's a better job, then it's a career.
Right.
You're not going to jump up into, making $25 an hour. We need to, we need to push a broom. We need to do whatever it takes.
Right.
And where have you been for the last X amount of years, Usually it's not just the sentence that they've served, but they're people that we serve are repeat offenders.
Right.
So they've been in the prison system anywhere from 20 years to, 3 years.
Right.
So, our big philosophy is that let's get the job, and we get a better job, and then we work on your career. And in that process, that career may take schooling and stuff like that.
So you go inside though.
We go inside to some of the there's 33 prisons around California, and so all of our people are everywhere.
Right.
So the way we're currently doing it, which isn't the best way, but it's what we have to work with, is a mail-out process. So we get a list of people who are coming home through 9 months, and then we send out mailers to them, and then we sort through those mailers. It's not the most effective way, but it's what we have to work with. So it's working, Preferably, we'd like to be in every institution. Sooner or later, that this is all kind of folding into these reentry facility concepts,
Right.
where a year prior to someone being released back into their community, they'll go to these reentry facilities, and in those reentry facilities, they'll have a therapeutic community, parenting skills, drug and alcohol, job training, and stuff like that. What's nice, it'll be in their community, so
Right.
the people in there providing the services will also be providing the post-release services.
Right.
So it's that continuity of care.
Right.
We'll go from that facility, hopefully into a reentry project that the community's established, and then they'll monitor that progress inside as well as post, which is on the outside.
Yeah, I've seen that where the prison industry is now trying to partner with community agencies. I just see it in like a community affairs department. I see it online. I print it out, but I can see it in San Francisco. I can see it on the juvenile level, and how what they're doing is they do a thing called call-in, where they get all the community agencies to come in, and the juveniles will come out their room and come around the table like this, and different service providers will be there, and they'll be signing up to see, But then I look at it as, now, and, I know everything is a funding issue, but it seems like on the prevention side of that, it's like now, instead of preventing them from going in, we're going in to get the numbers, and where they're supposed to be there, but they're not out here, so we got to go in there and get our numbers, And I don't know how, I don't really see a lot of reentry projects that really work. A lot of models that's been out there, but like the one I seen yesterday, the Homey Industries. I mean, that's just first-hand experience where you got a gangster that just got out that mentoring another youth. Everybody's on the same page of trying to help each other grow even more. And I don't see that very much. I know I see a lot of going back to school, and of course getting your degree and all that stuff is beautiful, but I don't see a lot of that first-hand experience where, people are, like I said, are ex-prisoners are getting jobs to mentor and things like that, I didn't see it. I seen it yesterday though.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think that consumers need to be at the table. I mean, I'm an ex-offender. I discharged my number in '96, so I've been through the prison system.
Right.
So, I mean, you definitely have to have consumers at the table. I mean, ex-offenders, ex-gang members,
Right.
whatever that looks like. But you really need to have them have a voice. And so, since I discharged my number in '96, I was in prison when it was a completely different
Right.
environment. So what I have currently is this successfully re-entered advisory committee. So these are men and women who sit on my advisory committee that have either discharged their number recently or in the process of getting close to discharging their number, and have done well, and they advise me on concepts that I'm about to implement into this project. So we have a broad base, which, these people fly at about 300 feet, and this would be the sheriff and the
Right.
DA and Joan Petersilia and Rick Roney, And they're really a working board. They're not, the way I view my steering committee is that my steering committee removes obstacles for me to get my job done, and I remove obstacles for these parolees to be successful.
Right.
So we're not, by any means, am I sitting here saying we're the silver bullet and we're the key to all the problems. But what we are is a step in the right direction. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Right.
When you enhance services and you monitor that progress, you're going to have success.
Right.
But this isn't a 1 year or a 2 year thing. This is a
Right.
4 year, a 5 year, a 6 year of the same philosophy.
Right.
You know, we didn't get a 70% recidivism rate overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight.
Right.
You know, it's
Exactly.
it's a process of allowing the administration, the governor,
Right.
and his people to say rehabilitation works,
Right.
and then making sure that we have the community
Right.
at large, the state of California, saying that we believe in rehabilitation.
Right.
Because, you know, it's all it's going to take is a shift. You know, somebody who's out, hurts somebody, gets a lot of profile on that. Community's tired of it. Community will err on the side of, incarceration.
Right.
You know, that's the panic on the 3 strikes law.
Right.
You know, that whether you agree with it or not, and you know, I think it has its place. But the whole thing is this. We've always had the habitual criminal.
Right.
Remember,
Right.
I mean, the habitual criminal has always been in existence. So, but it was a lot harder to get the habitual criminal, and they kind of boiled this down to this 3 strikes law. Well, we really need to take a hard look at that 3 strikes law. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not a valid law, but we really need to say, as somebody who commits a 3 strikes under the current structure of habitual criminal. So I think we need to take a look at that, but that just shows, what I'm trying to show here is the panic of a community.
Right.
Panic of a community will err on the side of incarceration.
Right.
And if you remember, they changed, in the early 80s, I think it was, where they changed the language from, rehabilitation to incarceration, and
Right,
punishment
yeah.
became punitive.
Right.
So we as a state did very well at
Right.
punishing our
Right.
offenders.
Right.
And we built prison after prison after prison. And we built ourselves into this quagmire to say, we had this false sense of security that everybody was gone. Well, we know that 97% of all inmates are coming home eventually.
Right.
97% are coming home eventually, with no skills. They've aged, and they really have nothing to offer the community, and so within that they feel disenfranchised
Right.
from a community, and then we expect them to be part of a community.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
So hopefully that's what we're able to kind of try to help with. 50% of all inmates on a prison yard are violators, serving less than a year. The average sentence, I think, is 2.5. In Department of Corrections, 97% of all inmates are coming home. What do we need to do as a community? Santa Barbara is only 1% of the parole population. It's not a huge percent. We have 1,000 parolees coming home each year,
Wow.
which isn't huge.
To Santa Barbara.
To Santa Barbara County, who are Santa Barbara commitments, right? So
Wow.
1,000 are coming home each year, which we said, is that a problem? Yes. Do we need to do something about it? Absolutely. And so 1,000, we can get our arms around 1,000.
Right.
When you talk about LA, you're talking like 30,000.
Yeah.
I mean, they've. I think it's crazy. We have more being released a month as a state than New Mexico prison population. Period.
Wow.
Yeah, it's we're in a mess. So I mean, and so how do we get out of it? And that's where we are now as a community, and we believe that you're going to invest in these people. You're either going to invest on the front end with therapeutic interventions, which currently it's about $4,000 to put someone through a year-long post-release case management model, what we're currently doing, or you're going to invest on the other end where it's $43,000 to house somebody in the Department of Corrections today. So it's, from a fiscal standpoint, from a therapeutic standpoint, from just a social reengineering standpoint, this all makes sense.
Right.
But you have 2 sides of the aisle that are dichotomous in their thinking. All is bad and all is good.
Right.
And the answer is somewhere in the middle.
Right.
You know what I mean? There are that percentage of people that probably should never get out of prison.
Right.
And whatever that percentage is, 20, whatever, that should never see daylight again. And they exist. But there's the larger percent that can change if you're able to provide hope. That's everything.
How long you been doing?
I've been doing this, this program's been in existence for a little over a year.
Okay.
But my background's drug and alcohol, so I was the director of a drug and alcohol center here for about 8 years, and so and my passion's always been the criminal offender because that's my story. So I've always worked well and researched and implemented programs to help that population. And so when this came about, it was really good. And you know, I've had the opportunity to speak to the director of the Department of Corrections, which was Tilton at the time. You know, he's been replaced by Matt Cate, but he's on board with rehabilitation. I mean, Matt Cate, I think, is the same philosophy that, you know, what we've been doing hasn't worked, and we need to do something that's going to help them not keep coming back.
Right.
And even if it's compound interest, you know, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10% from years on out. This is a I think it's a lifetime concept.
Right.
It's not, you know, a quick bailout and then let's go back to what we were doing and get the numbers up again, then quick bailout. This has to be constant. The communities, the state have to come together. This isn't a state issue. It's not just a community issue. It's
partnership.
It's a partnership here, because the bottom line is yes, there's state prisoners who are coming back to your community regardless. So if this program exists, this reentry project in Santa Barbara exists or not, there's 1,000 parolees coming home each year,
Right.
whether we're here or not.
Right.
Period.
So we're not getting people out early. We're meeting them now. So currently,
Right.
you know, the system is here's $200, buy your bus ticket out of that $200, then get to where you're going, and have that community completely changed. Providers are no longer in service. You know, you're going to a bus stop where drug dealers know you're coming home. You know, it's just a
Right.
constant thing. In Santa Barbara, in the South County, in the city of Santa Barbara, our parole department is 40 miles south in Ventura. You know, so we don't even have a parole department here in this part of the
Right.
county. It's crazy. It's just really nuts. So not only are we working with a population that reoffends at a 70% ratio, but we're also mending a broken system. It's
Right.
completely shattered. So our job, you know, if this program is going to be successful, it's also making sure that the community kind of heals, if you will, around our parole population. And then it's trying to get this population that reoffends at a high rate to have hope. You know, and I think you said it right. And that's where the consumers come in. You have to have people that understand
Right.
the population, and that the population is going to respond well to it,
Right.
not just an extension of a system they see as
Exactly.
flawed.
Right. And I know that, you know, like with everything deserves some training and, you know, and some understanding, you know, and I know, you know, like I said, the reentry programs that I know of in San Francisco, like I said, I thought this was like a direct service to the college. And talking to Nikki, I thought it was just a reentry project for UC Santa Barbara, you know, because I know the director of the reentry project at City College, and, you know, he's an ex-felon himself, and, you know, been through the prison system like you earlier, in, you know,
Yeah.
before they switched up and everything, you know. So I thought it was a direct link to that, you know, but I think this even, you know, works out even better if you have a reentry, just a one-stop shop almost when you come
Yeah.
home. You know, we're here to help you, you know, instead of funneling through 20 different agencies and then 19 of them telling you they will call you back.
Yeah.
You know, we hope to find something for you.
Or waiting lists.
Right.
That's a huge
Yeah.
thing. Everybody's full.
Right.
So we have the ability to kind of navigate through that also. I mean, like I said, I'm definitely not here saying, hey, we're the silver bullet.
Right.
But we're part of the solution.
Right.
I mean, there's a bigger conversation to be had. You know, these
Right.
reentry facilities have a piece in it. The way that somebody's arrested and assessed has a piece in it. Reentry happens at arrest, you know? That's where it should happen.
Right.
It should happen when somebody's sitting in a cell being fingerprinted.
Right.
Reentry should start. That plan to reenter their community should start happening.
Right.
From the court system to the assessment to the Department of Corrections to the actual reentry facilities to the release of them in the community. And that's that's what's going to help.
Right.
So we're a piece of that, you know.
Right.
And it's a lot of work, you know. There's a lot of work to be done. So it's what's nice though is we're working in the right direction.
Right.
We're finding some good success.
Now this here is this a transitional house here? Or?
This is a transition house. They actually give us office space.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
they've just, you know, I have a little office over there, and I have one of my transition coordinators who works out of my office, and then North County is about 70 miles north of us, and I have a transitional coordinator out there. And I actually work for a nonprofit that umbrellas all this, so that, you know, we didn't have to create our own nonprofit.
Right.
We used an existing nonprofit, so the money
Right.
goes through them.
Physical sponsorship.
Yeah. So grants all go
Right.
through this nonprofit that we
Right.
have. And they've been in existence for a long time. Good
Right.
Samaritan is the name of the nonprofit. So what's nice is that, you know, I worked here in South County. I know this part of the county really well, and then I work for a North County agency.
Right.
That's probably the biggest provider in North County.
Okay.
So, you know, it's a win. I know all these providers, and then what I didn't know over here, I was being helped out by the agency I work
Right.
with. And the steering committee, once again, you know, having the sheriff there, having the district attorney there.
Right.
I mean, they don't send somebody, they're actually go to the meetings.
Right.
So if there's obstacles that I need removed, or I need help from them as you know, from their position, then I ask for it, and I usually get it.
That's one of the things that we're responsible right now for creating a reentry for the gang injunction. We're supposed to come up with an opt-out plan. So we came down here just, you know, to get some information. You know, we really want to touch bases in Oxnard.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we talked to some fellas yesterday. We're supposed to go out there a little later today. You know, because they came up with some solutions to an opt-out plan. But one of the things that we've been trying to discuss is we're creating a community action team. And one of the things that we discussed was bringing the city agencies on board, the DA's office,
Yeah.
the city attorney's office, you know, to, like you said, remove those obstacles already, and to
Yeah.
have them on board with us so it'll flow. We won't have any problems. Everybody will be on board at the same time.
Oh yeah. Well, you're going to have that law enforcement buy-in. You know, you have to, when I go to places, I'm talking about prison reentry. You know, to speak to some of the more conservative base. You know, when you mention that the sheriff's on board with it, DA's on board with it, it carries a little more weight. And you know, people have the misconception of what we're doing. People look at it as soft on crime. It's just
Right.
the opposite.
Right.
You know, it's tough on crime. It's really holding people accountable to change.
Right.
You know, we want them to change, and we're going to hold them accountable. This isn't a handout.
Right.
This is to say, hey, listen, if you want to do it, we're going to help you with a hand up, but you got to do it. If you're not doing it, we're going to cut you loose. You
Right.
know, we're not here to play games.
Right.
We're here to hold people accountable to change, and then watch that change really solidify,
Right.
take place. And so, it's, you know, it's all, messaging's huge. I mean, messaging, how you message this is big, because you're going to get some people that are saying, well, that's soft on crime. They need to be locked up. And they're right. There's a part, as I said earlier, there's part of this population that need to be in prison.
Right.
Probably should never get out, you know.
Right.
But the large percent of them you could work with, have the ability to change. They really do. And so it's meeting those needs. But I think it's a great idea that you go to Oxnard and talk to them. Who are you talking to out there?
I forgot the names.
Okay.
But
Francisco.
It might be on one
Work
of these
with Core.
flyers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a pastor out there that's doing some good work. Forget his name. But you know, he works with he does the field work with the gangs out there.
Oh, okay.
And I just forget his name.
I'll be sure to do.
Think of it.
Well, maybe they probably know.
Yeah.
Their course.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
He's pretty plugged in with the police and stuff. So.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, anytime, you know, we get a chance to get out, we like to, you know, definitely meet people and be a resource. So I like to collect business cards and things and make sure that I know somebody somewhere in some county.
Yeah.
And actually, we're hosting a like a little symposium at the college, at the university this fall. So
Yeah.
definitely like to
Cool.
welcome you
Cool,
to come
I'd
be a
love to
part
do
of
that,
it. And,
yeah.
you know, talk about some of the steps that we can do. You know, as a California, like you said, as a state, you know, from San Francisco up here, wherever it is, you know, get the ball rolling, because we all know that, like you said, there is reentry. The prisoners are going to be released,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, if it's a chance to even, you know, I like to look at it and see if it's a chance for change in communities. You know, I knew we do a lot of foreign college exchange, but is there a chance for exchange of reentry? You know, changing your lifestyle, maybe changing your environment. You coming down to Santa Barbara and somebody coming to San Francisco, is there a change in environment that might change your mindset? You know, not coming back to the same place where you know everything.
Yeah.
You know how to get your hands on this, you know how to get your hands on that, to where you got to get out and navigate when you go somewhere else. But if you're under a structured environment, you don't have time to do that, you
Right.
know. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at and seeing, you know, if the counties and things like that, if the higher up players are interested in things like that. Because I know Mayor Newsom was giving bus tickets to the homeless to shipping them back home to where they came from.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, that old saying, you know, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those things, you know.
Yeah, I know. The thing with the parole population is that legislation says they have to go back to their last
Right.
legal residence.
Yeah.
So we only take Santa Barbara commitments.
Right.
We don't take, you know, we don't take transfers, and that's more of, you know, to help with the people that say, hey, if you build this, you know, they will come kind of concept.
Right.
We have to de-escalate that and say, wait a minute, no, we're just taking Santa Barbara commitments.
Right.
There's 1,000 of them coming home each year.
Right.
That's who we're concentrating on.
Right.
Because you know, this is a small, willing community, but they're not happy about, you know, bringing a huge population in from LA or
Right.
or even, you know, San Luis Obispo or Ventura.
Right. Right.
You know, so it's hey, listen, we're not going to build something and bring a huge population
Right.
you know, here.
Right.
You know, I mean, I remember a discussion one time, somebody told me that people had a problem with building showers down by the beach because that was going to bring the homeless population down here.
Right.
It's like, well, no, I think the weather and the, you know, the circumstances bring the homeless.
Right.
If you guys want it to rain, I guess, you know, we try to arrange that. But,
Right.
you know, so
Right.
it is a small community. It's a neat environment to be in. I mean, Santa Barbara is, you know, it's great and it's a great place, but, you know, it also has its issues. Not bad. We can get our arms around this prison thing, I think, here. But it's a matter of helping other bigger counties like LA
Right.
and trying to help them get their arms around that. That's daunting. I mean, that's a huge deal, man. That's huge. I mean, you're talking 30,000 parolees each year. I mean, they have their own district, division, region. You know,
Right.
they're Region 3, I think. And so that, and all of Region 3 is LA. Whereas, you know, we're Region 2, and I think we go all the way to Oakland. You know, I think that's, you know, from Ventura to Oakland. So,
Wow.
and from there, from here to there is about the same.
Right.
You know, as far as
Right.
if you add up all
Right.
the
The county.
counties.
Right. Right.
So, you know, I don't know how they're gonna. I mean, I do know. I mean, how they can, but you know, but it's a matter of trying to get all those little cities.
LA is a big city.
It's a big place, man. So, I mean, even I grew up in Orange County, and that's, you know, they have, I think 10, maybe somewhere around there, coming home each year. It's a big place. You have these little cities
Uh-huh.
everywhere. So you have to set up shop in all these little cities,
Right.
and then trying to get everybody together. It's a lot of work.
Mhm.
Here it's been kind of really easy.
Uh-huh.
You know, everybody kind of says, hey, we're doing it anyway. Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I wonder if I mean, you know, that's a welcoming, you know, and I guess you don't get that sense here in Santa Barbara, really, if there is a problem. First of all,
Yeah.
you know, you don't get that sense of, any problems or anything that's going on out here. Of course, when you stay here and things, you know what's going
Yeah.
on. But you're a tourist, you really don't know nothing. But it's just amazing on how some do open their arms to some of these things, and then others, of course, you have closed arms, which that's always going to be a part of it. But you got to welcome in arms. That's it makes the job a lot easier.
Oh, yeah. Santa Barbara's unique, there's a lot of famous, and sort of same with LA, but you would see, for instance, I think about 2 years ago we were trick or treating and walking down the street, and here comes Rob Lowe with his family and stuff. Only in Santa Barbara,
Right.
no one makes it. There's not paparazzi everywhere. There's just hey, whatever. Oprah walks around the farmers market, So it's kind of the golden rule. Hey, don't.
Right.
You don't bother them. They're just people that are walking in their community.
Right.
But there is that concept that we also don't have an issue.
Right.
Well, we do. We have a homeless issue. We have a addiction issue. We have prison parolee problem. We have all these issues. And if you talk to the social network, we all know it. But if you go south a little bit from here in Montecito, I bet you they wouldn't say that.
Right. Everything is great.
Yeah, that's cool. Well,
Nice
I bet it
beach.
is there.
Right. Can relax on the beach
Yeah.
and everything is fine.
Let's go to the country club.
Right.
Yeah, there is no homelessness. I knew that.
Right.
So, but not everybody's like that. I shouldn't say that. But there is that portion.
Right.
There,
Yeah.
there are some good, concerned individuals that have really stepped up. Rick Roney, who really started this, was the brainchild of all this. Is a retired businessman from Silicon Valley.
Oh, okay.
And so he's in a position in his life where he doesn't have to work, lives in
Right.
Santa Barbara, probably could have went anywhere in the world to live,
Right.
picked here, and then said, the state's got an issue, but I want to help the community that I'm in. So he really stepped up,
Oh, okay.
got all of us together, and
Right.
that's how he met Nikki and stuff like that. But he, he's one of those guys that said, hey, I'm not going to just talk about it. I'm going to get out there and do something about it. So he's been, and he's just a good guy, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Had absolutely no interest, and then all of a sudden retires and sees that California has a huge prison problem and decides to do something on a state level, and then he wants to do something for his community.
Right.
So he's just been really instrumental in us and what we're doing. And he's a great mentor to me. I mean, he's just really bright, works through the issues, understands the issues quickly. So.
Do you ever run into, I know you probably do you run into a lot of, like, your colleagues that you grew up with and that you was in the prison system with and things?
A couple, yeah, no, I know some, here in Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara does, I don't know too many guys from Santa Barbara, but, I've run into a couple. And what's interesting is that, I send these letters out, so somebody will write me
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, I heard you were up here, I hope you're doing good, stuff like that. But, yeah, no, it's a little bit, not as much. If I was down south, I think it'd be more.
Right.
But it's dealing with the prison population, so as our letters go in,
Right.
it's triggered a few responses from people from Orange County, but not too much. And how I approach that is that, hey, it's like a prophet in his hometown. It's my concept is that I don't. Somebody else is going to have to help them. I'm not
Right.
saying that I'm a prophet, but I'm that
No,
concept
yeah, right,
of
yeah.
somebody else is going to have. I'm not the guy that's going to pull you out.
Right,
So
right.
most likely you'd be pulling me down. So I'm just going to refer you to somebody else
Right.
because we're a little too close.
Right.
And they've seen me do things that it's not me anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
it's. How do you have that conversation with someone? Come on, man. What are you trying to sell here? So that's my concept with my old acquaintances, I guess, would be that, I'll refer you to a great person.
Right.
I'm not going to try to help you out. I just don't think it's going to work.
Did you go to school?
I did. I went through UCSB's extension program.
Oh, okay.
But that's about it. So and I'm certified by the state as a counselor.
Right. Oh,
But
okay.
so that's my passion. My
Right.
passion is, you know, the drug and alcohol.
Right.
You know, there's this whole concept and thing happening right now. You know, addiction. It just
Yeah.
impacts us on so many different
Right.
levels. I mean, on almost every level,
Right.
from education to medical care to the court system, incarceration. I mean, it's just huge. So if we can get our arms around that man, we'd be helping several different points of our issues.
Yeah, I just took a intro class on drug and alcohol last semester,
Mhm.
and it's a little bit deeper than what you expect.
Yeah.
You know, coming from the hood and everything, you think you know it all
Yeah.
about drugs and alcohol. But you really get into the whole thing. It's kind of amazing. You got so many. Of course, classes that you got to go through to get your certification.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at going back, but it's like it kind of wakes you up from being in the lifestyle
Right.
to really looking at it yourself now, looking at everything that, wow, was that I was impacted in,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Going back, you really get to see it, and that's why my whole concept is to really have this in our school system, age appropriate, of
Right.
course. But I think in the 5th grade, health education, addiction awareness needs to be part of that.
Mhm.
Because I'm a big fan of the predisposition. My father was an alcoholic, and his father was an alcoholic. So we can go right down the road. And but kids and teenagers need to understand that Billy over here will be able to drink. He'll be able to go to college. He'll be able to go wherever he wants, and then he'll be able to put down his alcohol. Whereas me, I won't be able to do that because of my predisposition.
Right.
But we're never aware of that,
Right.
And so, age appropriateness, but it needs to be in the public school system. It
Yeah.
needs to be there. It has to be there. You have to show an awareness, and just say no is a good concept, great concept, but it doesn't
Right.
it doesn't
Right.
fit.
Right.
Just
Right.
say no. Okay, well, but why should I just say no?
Right.
I don't know
When
detail.
everybody around me
Yeah.
is saying yes,
And so what are my repercussions around this, and what is the impact in the future around this? Because as kids, we just think we're ballistic.
Right.
We have a lot of time to mend ourselves,
Right.
and we don't understand that once that switch is done, we're on a roller coaster. For kids to at least have that knowledge and then make decisions from that is what's important, I think. We can't expect kids to just say no. We can't, we gotta educate them. We gotta tell them why.
Right.
We gotta tell them, and not scare them into it like Reefer Madness. You remember that
Right.
movie Reefer Madness?
Uh-uh.
Oh, you guys gotta get that. Reefer Madness was when, when weed was starting to become very popular, and so they put out this film, and you should see how it's filmed. It's like, if you take a hit, you will become like a zombie or something like that.
Right.
It's as bad as heroin. If you take a hit, you're going to be on heroin. Well, what happened was kids started trying it and thinking like, well, I'm not a zombie. I'm not hooked.
Right.
So it just takes all this, well, geez, that was just, I'm going to keep going.
Right.
So it's really, it's truth and education rather than the scare tactics.
Right.
Because that dissipates.
Right.
And it's challenge. They want to challenge that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's worth a challenge.
Wow, man. Really
I'm not scared.
He's not like that. Give me that.
Right.
I'm not like that either, man. That's a lie.
Right.
So it's true education. It's awareness. But if we can get our arms around addiction, I think we'll see it. I mean, this is just international.
Right,
You'll
yeah.
see a huge positive benefit. We wouldn't know what to do with all the money. I think that we have as a state, as a county, as a nation. I really don't. I don't know what. I mean, it impacts us on so many different levels that I think we'd just be able to go to a room and pull out. You need this for cash. And it can really help.
Take it right off the
Yeah,
shelf.
here, let me grab because we got a bunch.
Right, yeah.
Back up the truck. We'll fill it up.
Right. Yeah.
But it's weird. I mean, it's just how do you do it? Well, I guess you do it just one day at a time. Just,
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. It's got to be constant. That's my fear about this reentry stuff is that You know, you talk to somebody in these institutions and who have been in with the Department of Corrections for years and say, oh yeah, we tried that in the 80s and we tried.
Right.
And they have. If you go back and you look, there's these little kind of time periods where they've tried probably some pretty good stuff.
Right.
You know, decompression. You know, there was concepts around that. There was really good stuff, but it just administration change.
Right.
You know, the director changes.
Right.
I mean, literally, Tilton, I think, was in there 2.5 years. Jeannie Woodford was in there even less. Rod Hickman was, I think somewhere around 2 years. I'm not quite sure, but. So it's constant changing with an employee base of about 60,000. Well, how do you change a philosophy if you're constantly changing the head guy or girl,
Right.
So my hope is that, we as a county, regardless of what the state says, that
Right.
we understand that we have 1,000 parolees coming to home each year, and that we're going to serve them on the level that we're serving them,
Right.
regardless of what the rest of the state
Right.
does.
Right.
We get a new governor that wants to be tough on crime.
Right.
This is what we do for our parole
Right.
population. And let's see in the next 10 years what we can actually do.
Right.
Because it's going to be that compound interest. It's going to be, maybe it's 5% this year, it's 5% next year, it's 5% the next year. That we're actually helping recidivism. And so that's my prayers and hope.
Well, yeah, I think that's the biggest part is two things going on. Of course, you have the politicians and everything making the laws, and you got different administrations.
Right.
But I think here at the grassroots level, if we say we're committed,
Yeah.
then we have to be committed regardless of what happens
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah.
Because we know that this is going to change.
Yeah.
Presidents change, mine
Right.
change, the state
Right.
change.
Right.
Comes down to the local city politics, that changes.
Yeah.
So no matter what, we got to make sure that we stay in place, especially those that come from the entry, the entry side into this reentry
Right.
area now. So we know how hard it is, for
Right.
folks that's coming through here now. So for us to close our doors and be like, well, they changed this, they changed that, we can't do this anymore.
Right.
We know how much it's gonna hurt.
Right. No. We've seen it.
Right.
We're in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, that's good. I'm not quite sure on what your gang injunction's about. Where's that?
It's in the Western Addition in San Francisco. You heard of the gang injunctions, though, right?
I heard of gang injunctions. I
Yeah.
don't know what's happening in San Francisco.
Oh yeah. There's there's 3 different ones in San Francisco. There's one in Bayview Hunters Point. There's one in the Mission District, and then there's one in the Western Addition. We work out of the Western Addition, so we have a little small grant. I run an agency called Brothers for Change. We have a little small grant to create this opt-out plan. So, like I said, just wanted to come down here
Yeah.
and get some information from not just San Francisco, but how everybody is doing this whole thing, and even with Oxnard and talking to them, how we can package this up as a California to show that we need help. It's not just the gang injunction. It's not just locking them up. That's
Yeah.
not just the solution. What about the prevention and then the reentry type of thing? So that's what we're looking at in the opt-out plan. Is the reentry project. How do you opt out of a gang injunction? What does that look like?
Yeah.
So that's why I said we're trying to get the city agencies, the community to come to the table together and say, how do we do this? Even the ones that's on the gang injunction, how do you plan on opting out personally? What does your story look like?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? But then having a community there to say, okay, that's what you want to do. Let's wrap our arms around them and let's do it. It's not to where it's, okay, well, I'm going to call this person out. He's sitting at the table. He's telling you what he wants to do. So everybody at this table, you can make these things happen, and he can opt out.
Right. Yeah.
In the perfect world. But.
Yeah. No, hey, I think it'll work. I think it will. How many gang members are in each area? And is there a specific gang they're targeting, or?
Yeah. There's 3 different gangs in the Western Addition that they're targeting, and then I think it's 2 in the Mission, and it's 1 in the Bayview. So and of course it all plays a part in the change of the community you know, get rid of one part and bring in another part, you know. So, you know, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but, you know, like I said, commitment is where we're at. So,
Cool.
you know, it's
Cool.
going to happen,
Good.
you know. So,
For you
you know,
guys.
but we look forward to coming down here in
Yeah.
the fall and, you know, having you at the school with Nikki and have some other folks there, and we can get to dialoguing and, you know, build this relationship
Cool.
as counties and grassroots.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah. Let me know how I can help.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Good
Thanks,
meeting.
guys.
Hey, one more thing.
Yeah.
Could you just say your name
Yeah.
and the name of the organization and all of that sort of stuff? right
Sure.
quick?
Steve Ferrugi, Farugie, Santa Barbara County Reentry Project is who we are, and I'm the project director for that agency right now.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys. All right. I'll give you guys a card I think I
Yeah.
have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Really nice talking to you.
Hey, nice talking to you guys. You guys, how long you guys been in town for?
I just got here, yesterday?
Yep. We've
Yeah.
been here.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, this will be our second day and one night.
Okay. Okay. How when you guys leaving?
As soon as we get down to Oxnard, we heading on home.
No.
Yeah.
Good luck. That's a drive, huh?
Yeah.
I'm driving out to Sacramento, I guess, next week, and taking my family though, because Secretary Tilton's retiring, and so I'm going to his retirement party, and so I said,
That's
"Let's
nice.
take the family. We won't go to Sac. What are we going to go? When will I ever say, hey kids, let's go to Sacramento?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Thank you again.
So this will be nice.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
gonna be beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're planning on getting down there too. They got the gang injunction down there in Sac. Well, actually, they just told us the gentleman from Oxnard just told us that they overturned the gang injunction in Sacramento. So, you know, it's just a lot of work. But I think that's the key also though, is family.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
uniting
no,
your family,
you have to
know.
get them to grow
Yeah.
roots in their community,
Yeah.
feel part of the community,
Right.
and so that's where we need the community to step up
Right.
to be part of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know that's how come when in gangs why we choose gangs, you know,
Right.
because finally we feel part of something,
Right.
you know, because we feel disenfranchised from this
Right.
community. This ain't our
Right.
community.
Right.
So what's this community? Victims.
Right.
That's what this whole community does.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Exactly.
They're not part of who
Exactly.
we are and what
No.
we do. So how do we change that?
Right.
Well, we gotta help them get jobs, we gotta help them get housing, we gotta help them feel like, put a value on this community.
Right.
This is your place, this is where
Right.
most, you know, 90%
Yeah, if you appreciate it, you'll look out for it, more for
Yeah.
it.
Give me a house, you know what I mean?
Right.
Once again, the Lord then blessed us with another agency that we done got to talking to. Brother named Steve, running a reentry project in here for Santa Barbara County. You know, I mean, the relationships that we're building is it's ground zero relationships, grassroots agencies, but people that's really giving, like I said before, 110%, willing to give their all, because most of us come from the same lifestyles and want to give back to those that have the same issues and the same things that we all go through. So I just look forward to working with everybody from, like I said, from LA to the Bay, but I think we're gonna go even further than that because we got Philly hooked up. So we're gonna go from Philly, LA to the Bay, but there's some cities in between there. But I just look forward to this relationship that we're building from county to county, just here in California, but really, you know, so we look forward to going to Oxnard on our way there. Actually, I got some information about the college, so maybe we'll hang out at the college in Oxnard. Try to find the core project after that.